Okay, Scott, that's it. I'm not gonna let you steal my money anymore or push me around. This ends today. Oh, poor little Johnny thinks he has what it takes to stand up to his betters. That's almost cute. I couldn't believe how stubborn he was. It was clear that I was no longer the weak little boy that he used to pick on, and yet he would not stop being a jerk. He even took a swing at me that I managed to duck. Since he swung first, I knew that I could fight back since it was just self-defense, and I punched him in the face. Hi there, my name is John, and I had been bullied most of my life. When I was younger, I was rather scrawny, and since I did well in school, there were a few kids that saw me as an easy target. I would complain to my parents and tell them about how I would get cornered and beaten up or teased and made fun of almost every day, but there was only so much they could do for me. Unfortunately, there was only one school in the small town that we lived in, and there weren't any other options since my parents couldn't homeschool me. Listen, John, I know that you have it hard at school, but you just need to stand up to those bullies. And if they don't back down, just do your best to make it through. But Dad, you don't get it. They are making my life a living hell. I know, John, but you will eventually graduate from high school, and then you'll never have to see them ever again. They just pick on you because you make them feel insecure because they aren't as smart as you. Just do your best, and maybe in the meantime, we can go to the gym together? I wanted to believe my father's words, but I had been bullied for so long that it was beginning to wear me down. I felt so low that I had even contemplated suicide, but my father's words rung in my head. He had promised that all I had to do was get through high school, and then I would be free from those idiots that picked on me. Weeks passed, and my bullies only ramped up their abuse of me. They would stuff me into lockers and leave me there during classes, or they would steal my lunch money and make me spend the whole day hungry. It was then that I had had enough, and I decided that I would take my father up on his offer, and together we began going to the gym. At first, I didn't see any results, but with each passing week, I began to feel stronger, and I even began to gain muscle mass. A few of my bullies noticed this and began to stop harassing me. But there was one in particular, Scott, that just wouldn't quit. Scott was the quarterback for the school football team, and he picked on me more than anyone else. One day, I had had enough, and I confronted him. Okay, Scott, that's it. I'm not gonna let you steal my money anymore or push me around. This ends today. Oh, poor little Johnny thinks he has what it takes to stand up to his betters. That's almost cute. I couldn't believe how stubborn he was. It was clear that I was no longer the weak little boy that he used to pick on, and yet he would not stop being a jerk. He even took a swing at me that I managed to duck. Since he swung first, I knew that I could fight back since it was just self-defense, and I punched him in the face. After that, we exchanged blows until some teachers broke up the fight. I ended up nearly being expelled for that fight and had to miss 2 weeks of school, but it was worse for Scott. He was kicked off the football team on top of missing school, and he blamed me for it as well. How he could justify that stance, I didn't understand. After all, he had only lost his spot on the team because he was being a bully. I had the right to stand up for myself. When we finally were able to attend school again, Scott went right back to trying to make my life a living hell. He would tease me every day and would even break into my locker and leave bags of dog poop in there, although I could never prove that it was him that was doing it. In the end, I didn't know what to do. Here I had finally stood up to him. I had grown stronger, and yet he still wouldn't stop picking on me. It was infuriating. It was then that I hatched a plan. If he wouldn't stop, then it was up to me to make it at least hard, if not unappealing, to continue to pick on me. And so, I doubled the amount of time that I spent at the gym, and when I felt strong enough, I tried out for the football team. The coach was so impressed with me that he made me the new quarterback. With that done, the first step to my plan had been achieved, and I then moved on to my next one. All of Scott's friends were on the football team, and he had been dating the head cheerleader. But I had plans to make those friends mine, and to even try to steal his girlfriend as well. The next step of my plan was risky, and there was a lot of margins for error. But I did my best, and I played really well, and our team won quite a few games as a result. We did so well, in fact, that we made it to the championships. As a result, everyone on the team loved me, and Beverly, the head cheerleader, took notice of me. Things between her and Scott were on rocky footing to begin with after he had escalated his bullying of me, and now seeing me as the quarterback and winning games for our school had made her see me in a new light. The championships consisted of 4 games, and thanks to my leadership, we were able to make it through the first 3 with ease. On the day that we were driving out to the big and final game, all the cheerleaders and football players loaded up onto a bus and drove to the next city over for the game. On the way there, Beverly told me that she had developed a crush on me and wanted to know if I wanted to go on a date after we won the big game. I, of course, agreed. That day, we played as good as we possibly could, and although it ended up being a very close game, we ended up winning by only 3 points. It was the first time that our school had won a championship in over a decade, and the whole school celebrated. Days after that, I took Beverly out for dinner to a local restaurant, and we had an amazing time, right up until we finished eating and were on our way to a movie. The theater was only a few blocks away from the restaurant, so we decided to walk there. On our way, Scott ambushed us though, and he looked like he was going to murder me. Good, I finally found you. You are going to pay for ruining my life. What are you talking about? You ruined your own life by being an absolute jerk. When will you realize that your bullying me is what is causing your life to fall apart? Stop lying. Scott lurched at me and started trying to punch me, but it was obvious that he was a bit drunk and his movements were clumsy. He tried to fight me, but I was able to dodge his fists, and eventually I pushed him to the ground in an attempt to end the fight without hurting him. Just as he was about to stand back up and charge at me, a pair of police officers showed up and intervened and separated us. Thankfully, the officers let Beverly and I go while they detained Scott for more questioning. Although I suspect that they only did so because I didn't escalate things. After that day, I didn't see Scott again for a long time. Eventually, I went to school for law, and after I graduated, I knew exactly what I wanted to do once I graduated and set my sights on becoming a police officer. I had been bullied as a child, and I wanted to do my part to help prevent others from having to experience it. I'm also happy to say that Beverly and I are still together, and are married, and are expecting our first child. Things for me were going very well. Then one day the unexpected happened. My partner and I got a call to report to a domestic abuse call, and as we pulled up to the house, there standing out in front of the house was Scott and his girlfriend. His girlfriend was on the ground in tears, and it was obvious that she had been hit by him more than once. My partner rushed over and drew his nightstick and hit Scott on his back to get him away from his girlfriend. Seeing this, I ran over and pinned Scott down and threw handcuffs on him. I would be lying if I said that I didn't put a bit more weight into where I put my knee on his back, and I have no doubt that he'll have a very large bruise there. After we had thrown Scott into the back of the squad car, we interviewed his girlfriend, who told us that Scott had threatened to kill her, and she wanted to press charges against him, and I couldn't really blame her. The case against him was pretty airtight, and considering how badly she was hurt and what he had said to her, I knew that he was more than likely going to face some serious prison time. It was an amazing feeling arresting my childhood bully, and all the way to the police station I made sure to tell Scott all about how my life had turned out, and how Beverly and I were expecting. It was plainly obvious that with each word he was getting more and more frustrated, but my partner and I just laughed it off. Oh, and my partner is Derek, one of my old teammates, and before I joined the team, he had been a former friend of Scott's, but after I joined the team, he kicked him to the curb. So the whole ride to the police station was a bit of a reunion.